everybody, it is Romania Black, and we have a lot to talk about today, so we're just going to dive right into it because we are on Season 6, Rule of 8, Rule of 8, Rule of 8 of Natsume's Book of Friends. Rule of 8 has not let us down, and I don't think it's going to this week. But before we even dive into that, we have a couple comments to talk about with Season 6, Episodes 3 and Episodes 4 and 5. And I have a lot to talk about with Volume 14, because Volume 14 of the manga covers a lot of ground. So we got a lot of things to talk about. So we're going to go ahead and dive into the comments real quick. Maximo Bravo 4030 for Season 6, Episode 3 had two things to say. One, that Shibata has joined the harem. Yes, Shibata has joined the Natsume's Book of Boyfriends harem. We love to see it. But they also said, a little fact, the curse described in Episode 3 to make Nitai-sama, locking a bunch of snakes and insects in a box or a room or something so that they kill each other and then using the one left alive to cast a curse, is actually based on a real curse technique from Japanese legends, not just something the mangaka came up with, which is wild. So there's that. And then Sunspots says for episodes 4 and 5 of Season 6, which has been one of my favorite two-parters we've had so far, said generally, seeing Natsume just out and about doing activities, even something as small as going for a walk around to a movie, getting a snack, can be a huge thing for someone like Natsume, who has in the past viewed everything as far as his own consumption of oxygen as a selfish act. Yeah, just Natsume having any type of just normalcy to his life is saying something. So I thought those comments were really good. So remember last week when we talked about Volume 13 and I was like, oh, Volume 13 only covers episodes 3 and 4 of Season 5 and episode 6 of Season 6. This volume made up in spades because it covered 4 episodes. They're all Season 5, so it covers episodes 1, episodes 2, episode 6, and episode 11 of Season 5. And I was like, oh, we got through quite a bit just now. So we need to talk about it. So let's do that. There's so much to talk about with Volume 14. I really, really, really liked Volume 14. This is the cover for Volume 14. I honestly think this is one of my favorite covers of Natsume's Book of Friends so far. I love the reds. I love all the colors, but I also love that all of the yokai are dolls. They're all dolls sitting there, which is really cute. I like that, and Natsume's just playing with them, so that's cool. We also get the little bird from episode 6 that's there too, so that's one of my favorite covers. Love it. We also get Reiko playing in the water with this frog yokai, which is cute. And then anytime we get Natsume and Madara, it's adorable. I love it so much. So yeah, the episode with Natsume in episode 6 of Season 5, the one that I was wholly convinced was anime only, nope, it is absolutely based off of the manga. It's kind of crazy. And these creepy little gremlins that look, this page kept reminding me of Labyrinth, where it's like, chilly down with the wild gang. It's like little heads trying to like pop off Sarah's head. Yeah, that's what they remind me of. That and like a Mankey. So, but yeah, wild times. Although the manga is a little bit more graphic than the anime adaptation, because they're like, we're gonna rip out Natsume's throat, and Natsume's like, the fudge. So you have that going on too. But then we have the adorable bird yokai that I just love, with its little beady black eyes, its little Coraline black button eyes shows up. One thing that I love is that the manga and the pacing of it makes more sense in the manga. I get why in the anime they've moved things around because they want to like touch base on certain things. But what I really liked was that in the anime, this chapter follows episode 6 of Season 5. And last volume was covering episodes 3 and 4. So continuity-wise, it makes sense. But here, it picks up where Natsume's like, how do I better protect myself? I was on the way back from running an errand for Aunt Toko. I was delivering chestnuts to her friend over across town. Sensei was out drinking. Am I capable of running errands without him anymore? And Natsume's like, how can I better protect myself? And the little voice in the back of his head says, we can protect you if you join the Matoba clan. And Natsume's instantly like, no, I'm not doing that. No, not going to resort to that. So I'm like, good. But I thought that was a good thing to like tie back to a previous episode. So yeah, so beyond that, this chapter is really adorable. The little bird yokai, or rather the big bird yokai, is freaking precious. Madara chomping on Natsume is just as funny in the manga as it is in the anime. And then when the bird is like, oh, Reiko, she never came, and Natsume like puts his arm up on the little bird yokai, and then the bird yokai like just gives him a big hug. It's so cute and precious. I was like, oh my God. Adorable. Absolutely adorable. So our first editorial comes after that chapter. It says, hello, I'm Midori Kawa. This is my 14th volume of Natsume's Book of Friends. Thank you so much for the support. I've been allowed to have such a long series, but it still feels like it was just yesterday that I excitedly picked up the border colors for the graphic novels. I promise to keep working hard and make manga that people can enjoy. So there's a lot of little editorials in this volume, but God, there's also so many like little good gems for the manga. This is officially one of my favorite Madara panels from now on. The one that just says, I'm bored. I want to use it everywhere. It's so cute. It's adorable. They just make Madara so fluffy in this manga and in the anime. So then we have the conversation that a lot of volume 5 or season 5 was about, which is like Natsume asking, if I abandoned the Book of Friends, would I be able to live in peace? No longer afraid of being chased by yokai or intimidated by exorcists. Now here's the thing. Just because he doesn't have the Book of Friends, that does not mean that Natsume would still not be targeted by the yokai. Some yokai that didn't like Reiko or did like Reiko would still come find him. It doesn't take away his ability to see them. And he probably still would be intimidated by the exorcists regardless. And he says, if I abandoned the Book of Friends, what would happen to the yokai who are yet to be freed? So at this point, the manga makes it appear as if Natsume is not going to abandon the Book of Friends because there are yokai that need his assistance. And I'm like, oh, that's a nice way of trying to skirt around the issue of that you want to keep the Book of Friends, right? And a part of me reading this volume was wondering if Reiko was equipping her daughter, because we'll talk about that in this volume, don't you worry. But if she was equipping her daughter with to have something that would give her protection, because technically the Book of Friends, whoever owns the Book of Friends can control the yokai. So was Reiko gathering up all of these names for all of these yokai to offer her child or grandchild protection, and saying here, if you need help, you get these yokai to come help you. And you can tell them what to do and protect you from the exorcist or whatever. I don't know. We don't know. But I really love this panel where the bird is talking to Reiko. And the bird says, yes, I like company. And she's like, weirdo, this place is so desolate now. But maybe, just maybe, I might like some company too. I'm sure it would be fun. So I feel like we talked last episode, Natsume and Reiko having two different, situations where now Natsume has friends. He's not alone, but Reiko back then very much was. And then, Natsume has wondered whether or not to help the yokai and whether or not it's worth it or if the exorcists are right. But then there's this panel where the bird is like, Reiko didn't come to visit, but I got you, her grandson, and it made me happy. And I like happy things. I forget how much I really liked episode 6 of season 5. It was really adorable. It was so good. And then Natsume looks at the Book of Friends and he realizes, I can't get rid of this. And I love that he doesn't say it, but then Madara's like, you fool. Love it. So editorial 2. I wrote a little about the characters in this space last time, so I'd like to do a bit more of the same again. Taki. I really want to do a story from Taki's perspective. I once had an opportunity to do it in a side story, but I had to give up trying to make it fit in the number of pages available. I get too greedy when I draw a girl because of the many emotions involved. I want her to be a gentle girl who gets Natsume to smile when she's around, even when she's having a tough time. Aww, doll. Which this volume did not cover season 5, episode 5, which is a Taki-centered episode. So there's a very good chance that we still have volumes 15 and 16 to look at for this season. So we'll just have to see if we get that story or not. We shall see. We shall see. But yeah, so then we have episode 2 of season 5, which is the one with the little girl spirit that she has the towel, like the series making you cry over a towel. Yes. So that was an anime original. That was based off the manga. And so I love the way that she just picks Natsume up in the panel, like, bloop, let's go, Lord Natsume. It's super cute. But yeah, the chapter itself is pretty much just like the episode. It's really sweet. It's adorable. And then I do like in the chapter, though, Natsume is asking, as he's giving the name back, come to think of it, how did Reiko protect herself? Well, she used the Book of Friends to protect herself, I would imagine, but we'll see. We'll see. And then I loved these chapters where Natsume talks a little bit more about Reiko, and we get more into like episode 1 of season 5, and he kind of points out that every time he sees Reiko in his dreams or visions from the yokai's perspective, he only sees one aspect or one angle of her, which is just her smiling and being happy. And so Madara's like, how did Reiko protect herself? Well, she flaunted her inborn powers whenever she could. Which is not wrong. We've seen that in the past, right? And then Natsume asks, I love when the manga goes into a little bit more detail than I remember the anime going into. I'm like, oh, yes. Because then Natsume's like, but didn't she use any spells of any kind? Do you know anything about Reiko? And Madara says, well, it wasn't worth my time to pay attention. Was it? And he says, I guess not. Even if I want to know more about her, I have no idea where I should ask. He's like, I don't hear any pleasant stories from the yokai. You think the only thing she left behind was evidence of her misdeeds, after all. Which is the Book of Friends. I don't have much choice. My thing is, too, like, do I still think Madara is the yokai version of Natsume's grandfather? No, actually, after reading this manga, because the chapters are going to go over it, I have a new theory, but we'll see where that goes. We'll see about that. So anyway, the next chapter is basically covering episode 1 of season 5, which is the premiere, in which Natsume tries to find some information about his grandmother out, which is a really good chapter. And then we get editorial number 3. Notori, it feels strange. I'm not quite sure if he's changed since he first showed up. His thoughts towards Natsume are changing, but maybe the man himself won't. Interesting. Hiragi, she's very special. She might be the subconscious reason that Natsume had a hard time opening up to Notori, because she should be free, but he keeps her around as a servant. I think that that's a big point too. Now, obviously, Hiragi wants to be with Notori, but I feel like Natsume doesn't understand how that attachment and attraction works. So he's just like, but why wouldn't you want to be free? And she's like, sigh. So, interesting. So then we have the relative on Natsume's dad's side that he runs into, and we get some more confirmation about Reiko and the family in this part of the chapter, because she talks about saying, she says neither she nor her daughter were close to anybody. So yeah, it's Reiko's daughter that's Natsume's mom, is the whole thing about that. And then she says, your grandmother was odd. Rather odd, even crazy. And when she had your mother. And that's all that Natsume gets out of her, which I was like, I wish he would have let her tell him more. I wonder if, she was really worried about protecting her daughter all the time. I have a lot of theories about the dad and all of this, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm curious, right? Interested. He's like, I just wanted to know what she was like. Well, and then Madara, of course, Madara's always just there watching like the damn, Game & Watch, just sitting there all the time. So then, again, we have Tanuma coming over and, consoling Natsume and learning about his grandmother and everything. And he says, Reiko, my grandmother, never married. She had my mother out of wedlock. So we got that confirmation. My mother didn't know who her father was. So whenever I try to ask about Reiko, it's the same. That she probably played around with a lot of men, which I don't think is true. That she must have been dumped when she got pregnant. And that's when Natsume gets kind of scared because he's like, what's going to happen? Is somebody I love going to abandon me because of my ability? And that's when Tanama, Book of Boyfriends Extraordinaire, is like, no, that's not going to happen. It's going to be fine. But we got some confirmations. We got some confirmation that we don't know who Reiko got with, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. We do know that Natsume does not know who his grandfather is on that side. And that none of the other people that Reiko was around seems to have known either. They just had their own assumptions about what happened. So, but none of those are all rumors. And anime makes a big deal about how you can't believe rumors because most of the time they're not true. So, my theory is that that Reiko got either with an exorcist or with somebody that just was, maybe spiritually connected like she was. And my theory is that maybe he ended up getting killed before Reiko had Natsume's mom. And that's why nobody really knows about him. They weren't able to get married or do anything like that because I think maybe he died before Natsume's mom was born and then Reiko just took the mom and they went into hiding together. Is a thought. Don't know if that's true or not, but we'll talk about this. And then I freaking love this page here where Tanama's like, you don't have to talk about it. I was afraid to know more about her. But the Reiko the yokai talk about isn't like that. So I get it. And he's like, you care a lot about your grandmother. And Natsume's like, yeah. I love the way Tanama is drawn there. He's drawn so good. The mangaka loves to draw Tanama, and I don't blame her at all. And anytime Madara has that like look in his eyes, where his eyes are like golden, it's just like he's very intense about it. So I don't know. Do I think that Madara is the ghost of Natsume's grandfather? Like 25% chance. I know that's probably not the case, but I'm just like, what if? But I also wondered after this chapter if maybe the guy that Reiko fell in love with, and clearly, I mean, there are two options here. Either she fell in love with this man, they got together, and she got pregnant with Natsume's mom, or the dark, sinister, terrible version is that Reiko was assaulted and ends up pregnant with Natsume's mom. But knowing Reiko's character, I don't think that's the case. I think she fell in love with this guy, and I think they got together, and then I think he died after they got together. But my theory now is I wonder if Madara was one of, I don't want to say retainer because I don't know if Madara would agree to that, but I wonder if Madara had made a contract with the guy that Reiko loved. And then when he died, Madara kind of snuck around and stayed close to Reiko because he was curious why his, master had been near her or whatever. I don't know. We don't know. It feels like there's something there, the way that Madara responds to that. So yeah, and then I like that at the end of the chapter, Natsume says that he feels better talking to Tanama and connects to the fact that Tanama lives with a single father. So he says life can't be great for him either. So he's like, he comes from a family that's, not complete. So he's like, I think he can relate to Natsume a little bit and to Reiko a little bit, which is nice. I appreciate that. So then we have, with Natsume sneaking off around episodes, this is around episodes 1 and 2, right? It's around those time, like all those chapters. Season 1, episode 1 was actually based off like 3 or 4 chapters, which is season 5, episode 1 was based off like 3 or 4 chapters, which is wild that they edited them all together. I do think that poor Natsume, his face whenever Shigeru gets onto him, and he's not even really getting onto him. He's like, we're not strict, but you have to let us know, when you're leaving and when you get home. And Natsume's face there is so sad. It's like, no wonder he feels pressure when Matoba's like, when Matoba and the Exorcist keep Natsume longer than they should, you can tell Natsume feels uneasy about that. And this is one of the reasons why. So Natsume in the chapters going along with season 5, episode 1 says the only thing left was the Book of Friends. He's like, but my family on my mother and father's side, kept this without throwing it away. And Madara's like, well, they didn't dare to throw it away. They might have instinctively realized that burning such a creepy book would bring supernatural wrath. Interesting. Madara, what do you know that we don't? Tell us your secrets. There was one part in the chapter where Natsume, and I'm glad that they resolve it by the end of the chapter, but Tanama offers to help him, and Natsume tells him thank you, but no, he doesn't want his help. He's like, I'll tell you about it once it's over, I promise. And I do appreciate when Natsume says no, Tanama has like a little aggravated face. I like how the mangaka drew him a little aggravated, like, fine. Like, I thought that was really well done. But the good news is, we'll get into the end of the chapter. The good news is it all comes back around. So editorial number 4, the C-listers. They give me energy when I'm drawing them. They're so playful, the kind of mischievous, middle-aged yokai. Oh, I guess these are the B ranks, who party a little too hard when there are young folks around. Mizusu, a character with a very important role. I always imagined him with swaying hair like kelp. When I saw how graceful and cool looking he was in the anime, I enjoyed the contrast. Why kelp anyway? Maybe when I created him, I was imagining something that sank into the depths of a pond. I like the fact that Mizuzu has a very important role. Okay. All right. We'll just keep that up there. So then, this page, and I'm a romantic, y'all know this, and the Book of Boyfriends is fun, but Natsume's practically asexual, so he ain't getting romantic with a lot of people. But this whole page where Reiko talks about, I met someone odd. He's human, but he keeps coming up to talk to me. If I'm climbing a tree, he tells me to get down, or tells me not to go out so late at night. I can't believe how fussy he is. He lives in another town and sometimes wanders by. He buys me bean buns once in a while. They're from a shop called NATSUME, and they're very good. So, I mean, obviously the NATSUME is one of Madara's favorite shops to get food from. So it would be, reasonable why we would imagine that Madara is the yokai reincarnation of the grandfather. But I don't think that's entirely true. But if the exorcist or the individual that Madara was following around, kind of like he does with Natsume, went to that shop a lot as well, maybe there's a connection there. Who knows? I'm throwing straws at the theory wall and seeing if anything will stick in the future. But I just love the fact that we got that to me is an insight that she fell in love with someone and he's the guy that's Natsume's grandfather. We just don't know who he is. Anyway, so editorial number 5 is Hinoue. I drew when Hinoue and Reiko first met, but I'd like to draw other memories of them sometime. It's very fun to draw her in profile for some reason. She is very pretty. Reiko. She sure left behind something very troublesome. I take great pains to depict the pros and cons of the Book of Friends. Oh, love it. I love the pros and cons of the Book of Friends, indeed. Very troublesome of Reiko, indeed. So, yeah. I do love that I love whenever it's like the end of episode 1 of season 5's content in this chapter where Natsume is like saying, I have too many things I care about. I don't even know what I should protect first. And we see the Book of Friends. Then we see Toko. And then we see Tanama, who's flustered that he's been told he can't help by Natsume. And then we see like a little like collection of pictures of his friends and everything. They make me weaker. But then again, and then we see Madara on top of the house. He's like, they make me weaker, but they're also the most important thing. And then Natsume says, one day, I'm not like Reiko, though. I have to find my own way to protect those I care about. I love that. I love that Natsume is like, my grandmother hid from everyone and she ran away and depended and got the yokai gathered up in this book. But Natsume is like, I'm not like my grandmother. I'm different. I have to carve my own path to protect those I care about, because his grandmother didn't care about anybody except that we know of so far. She didn't care about any humans that we know of so far, except maybe the one guy that came around, but we don't know much about that either. And then what I liked was when Tanama got flustered at Natsume early on in the chapter, I was like, oh, I want them to make up. And at the end of this chapter, Natsume's like, I'm going out to go see Tanama and I have other plans. So he got to go make up to Tanama. That's good to know. He got to make up with him. That's super sweet. I love that. So then the episode 11, as we come to find out, episode 11 was mostly anime original. We do get this one page before where he's like, Natsume, you're going the wrong way. And he's like, oh, I was going to go buy some Natsuji buns first. He's like, oh, buy lots. I love those. He says, sure, I love them too. Maybe just a coincidence that Madara likes the same buns that the guy that Reiko likes. Maybe just a coincidence. Maybe there's nothing to it. Maybe coincidence. I think not, but we don't know. We don't know anything more yet. As maddening as that is. So yeah, episode 11, the season finale of season 5, was mostly anime original, except for the parts with the yokai and them going to see the white flowers. So the parts about Natsume being sick and with the classmates and everything, that was all anime original to my knowledge. That was not in manga volume 14 unless it shows up in a later volume and they just mixed it in and cut and pasted it together. But the flower part was a special side story for the manga for volume 14. And honestly, episode 11 was a great way to round out season 5. So the flower parts, that all makes total sense. And they just built the rest of the episode around it, which is fine. But that was cool. So yeah. So then we have the afterword. I love this shot of Tanama and Natsume with the robe and everything. Love, 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 love. It says, thank you for reading. Since volume 13 was about Natsume's relationship with people, this volume became about his evolving relationship with yokai. The more Natsume interacts with people and stays in that world, the more he's learning how to keep his emotional distance from yokai. He's more careful so his heart isn't broken as much. And he doesn't take every single encounter to heart. But that's going to cause its own problems sooner or later. So it'll be interesting to see how he balances everything out. Oh, yeah. So how's he going to balance the relationship between humans and yokai? Well, we've been seeing that throughout season 5 and season 6. So that's exciting. Then, last volume did not have these pages talking about the chapters. Unless I missed it, I didn't see these pages talking about the chapters. And so when I got to it in this volume, I was like, oh, thank God, we have this. I didn't feel like we didn't have these last volumes. So anyway, in chapter 55, The Soundless Valley, I had 31 pages to work with. So I wanted a story to focus on Natsume and the yokai. I would have liked to see him panicking at school, but considering his personality, he would have stayed holed up at home. I wanted to design a yokai like a big folding fan with holes in it, and it eventually turned into a large fluttering owl-like thing. It's not very expressive, but I had fun drawing it. It feels oddly forlorn when it's just Natsume with a yokai, but the presence of Nyanko-sensei helps both me and Natsume. And then we have chapter 56, Fickle Rain. I wanted to draw a little girl who's actually very old. She hasn't been ground down by society, so she remains innocent, but she's existed for longer times than others. I feel, while drawing, it's that Natsume probably acts the same way as he did in the beginning, but the way he keeps his emotional distance has changed. Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. We'll go with that. And then chapters 57, 58, and 59 were unchanging form, which connects with the beginning of the series. I came up with this story that would have been an ordinary day for Reiko. It might have been a big deal for Natsume or the yokai, but it was nothing special for her. Natsume started panicking that something precious to him would be taken. You can imagine what a person would pick, but the rules are different with yokai. The scope of possibilities is too big, making it difficult to predict. I had fun imagining what it would take if I were Yu-Earn. The Fujiwaras are important to him, even though he hasn't been able to tell them everything. Tanama was the first person in this town he was able to talk to about being able to see things, who was able to understand without being able to see himself. I hope Natsume will be able to sort his feelings out while telling him about the yokai. Fun times! And then the final word is the 4th season of the anime has ended successfully. it was overall too quickly, but it was so fun seeing this other incarnation of Natsume's Book of Friends made possible through the efforts of so many people. I would like to thank the director, the animation staff, the voice actors, and all the viewers for their support. This is my first time being involved with a set of characters for so long. I'll keep building on the foundations while staying true to my original intentions. Thank you very much. I love that. It's cool to know that around the time the content that was rounding up for seasons 5 and season 6 were being written, they were developing season 5. It's funny. I think the anime, there's nothing wrong with the way that the anime does the pacing, but there is something about the manga pacing that fits better. But again, like I said last week, I get why they do things a certain way because it does look better on screen than it does in book form, depending on how they pace it out. Anyway, finally, I really like this shot from Yuki Midorikawa, the author. It's of Natsume and Reiko together, and I like that her left eye is closed and his right eye is closed, so it looks like they're two as one. It's really good. Really like that. But yeah, but thank you. I'm sorry it spent 30 minutes getting this all talked about, but this covered episodes 1, 2, 6, and 11. So it bared repeating. Also, the volume was rated T for teen on the site. I don't know why it was, but it was fine. I don't feel like it was any more violent or dark than the other volumes, but whatever. So yeah, that was that. But damn, y'all, now we can finally start. Okay, so we are ready to go, and we are gonna start episode 8 of Natsume's Book of Friends season 6, and we're gonna do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Okay. So excited. It's crazy we're on season 6, and on the one hand, I really am not ready to be caught up with Natsume's Book of Friends. I really am not. But on the other hand, I am excited because that means I can't be spoiled by what's happening in the anime. I know that I have to avoid manga spoilers, but I am excited by the fact. Man, season 7 came out last year, which took it 7 years between season 6 and season 7. That's crazy. But why? But why? Were they just waiting for the content to catch up? Are we catching up to the content? My thing is, I love the anime so much. I don't think I could read the manga. I don't think I could react to the manga. I think it would need to be the anime first. As nice as the manga is. This is just so good. Oh, a study book. You don't got interlibrary services? Oh. Oh, hello. Do we have another entry into the Book of Boyfriends? Oh. Oh. Hello, voice. Is this Gojo's voice? Oh. Why? Is he a yokai or is he real? A day that will someday come. Is he a yokai or is he real? He's very forward! Ah! Help me! Oh. Oh. Owie. Ooh. Oh, wow. Yeah, is he a yokai? And did this person die and he's like going to give the letter back? Ah! Ah! I mean, he's got the loose tie. Oh. Oh, at this point. Oh. Oh. He's like, oh, thank God, you're going to hit on me. Natsume, bisexuality exists. Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh. Ah! Oh, no, not you. Not you. Yeah, tell them. Oh. Oh. I wonder if she's a lot older. Uh. Oh. Oh. You guys. Uh. Does he have a crush on her? Oh. Oh. What's in the letter? Yeah. Oh. A giant raccoon. Oh. Yeah, it's a long story. Oh. Uh, oh. Oh, of course you'd want to go to it for that reason. I like you. What? Oh, like a crow. Oh. Oh, never mind. Busy day. Wow. Yanko sensei. Don't trust him. Madara's like, I like you. You're the best. Oh, okay. But you can look like a person. Kind of like Madara takes a different form. Oh. Okay. Oh, wait. Is she the one from the other episode that Natsume knows? But she didn't. No, she couldn't see yokai. Never mind. Oh. Okay, but maybe. Hmm. Oh. Oh. This feels very much like the Hotari OVA. Natsume can relate to that. Oh. So you pieced out. Right. Exactly. Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. This is like the OVA. Yeah, interesting. Hmm. So how long has that been though? Right. Oh. 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 Yeah. Yes, very possible. Oh shit. Oh. Oh. Oh wow. Oh. Oh. Hmm. Oh. Oh. Hmm. I would go to you. Yeah, Natsume's like, I want to meet somebody that can see yokai. Hell yeah. Hmm. 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 Oh. But maybe it's the daughter or something named. Oh. Nishimura turning down a hot girl? Well, the moment they said married, that would stop it. Or is she the daughter? Oh. 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 Never mind. Oh, wow. Oh. Oh. Oh my god! Fell for it! Oh, bitch. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Stage 5 clinger. Stage 5 clinger. I'll find you. Oh my god, he's still eating the suckers. Oh. Oh, wow. Oh. Oh. No. Oh, shit. Oh. Oh, girl. Oh, girl. Dang. Oh. Girl. Girl. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, he's also a spirit girl. This ain't gonna lead to no immaculate conception. Girl, if he looked like a giant griffin, would you still want to be with him instead of him just being a hot guy with wings? That's why he's like, so I've not really had the hots for any ghosts yet, but oh my god, girl, language. Ooh. Ooh. Scary. Mm. Ooh. Who knows? Hmm. Oof. Mm. Oh wow, a blue flame. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Oof. It's very much like a yokai. Yeah, it's very much like a yokai. Only it's the opposite. Oh. Oh. Hmm. I'm curious. Well, hmm. Oh. Oh my god, why? They're like the Pidgeys in Pokemon, damn it! Ah! Madara's like, all a day's work. Why does it not work on birds? That's what he's like, I'm gonna punch these birds. Go! Bitch! What? Ah. Is that a chapel? Oh yeah, because it's supposed to be the wedding, yes. Oh. Oh. Natsume's like, should we be here? Oh. 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 Madara. Hmm. Hmm. Oh my god. Oh. Oh. Sure. Sure. Oh. Hmm. Yes, his. Mm. I mean, I mean, I mean, I think you already had that with Madara, but Herm, Herm. Oh. Oh. What a crazy episode. Rule of 8 has not let us down, y'all. Rule of 8 has not let us down a bit at all. I get so obsessed with this AD that I can't talk over it. I'm just like, Soaking it in. Aww. Ah. Rule of eight. Rule of eight. Rule of eight. Rule of eight doesn't let us down. And before you say it, I know that from the reaction, you'll be like, you thought that was Gojo's voice actor? No, 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 no. This one voice actor, I love all of the characters that he portrays, but I miscast him every single time. I don't know what it is about his voice that makes it to where I can't pick it out, but Aoi's played by Daisuke Ono. I had to go look it up. I was like, who plays this voice? And then I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I get it wrong every time. Every time Daisuke Ono is a character, I know the voice. It's deep. It's masculine. It's beautiful. I should know who this actor is. But every time, I get it wrong. And then I look it up and I'm like, it's freaking Daisuke Ono. Ugh! But yeah, if you don't know who he is, that makes this episode... Definitely the rule of eight wins out anyway, because I'm a big sucker for romance, and this tickled my romance fancy to begin with. So instant win, checking off all the boxes. But this episode is also a win because if you've watched Attack on Titan, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say the character that Daisuke Ono plays in Attack on Titan is often shipped with the character that Kamiya plays in that same series, and Kamiya is the voice of Natsume. So I was like, oh, we finally get these two characters together. We finally get these two voice actors together in Natsume's Book of Friends. And unfortunately, Daisuke Ono's character, Aoi, is not part of the Book of Boyfriends of all things. But oh my gosh. I mean, it's a win. It's a win just for that reason alone, that it's Daisuke Ono. I was like, okay, cool. All right. But yeah, what a crazy episode. So I started out the episode being like, why would Natsume have to go to another town to buy a study book? But considering this was probably written in the mid-aughts, back in these days, children, many moons ago, you had to go to other places to find books in libraries and bookstores. And you couldn't just buy it online. So I guess, you know, whatever the mangaka has to do to make this work out, this story always feels like it's set in the 90s. So to me, that's how I always think of it, which might be intentional by the mangaka. But the letter and everything they find leads him to talk to Aoi, which Aoi, now that I think about it, Daisuke Ono does voice characters that are a lot like this, but I'm like, I also find it hilarious because in Attack on Titan, Kamiya voices a black-haired character and Daisuke Ono voices a blonde character, and here we flip that entirely, and it's just, the symmetry, just eating it up. But yeah, Daisuke Ono, his character Aoi here, Aoi was... Look, y'all, I should know by now if they are but Tanema has like light blue eyes, so I thought, okay, the eyes aren't too light. I thought he was real at first. I was like, we have another entry into the Book of Boyfriends, but he was just posing as a human. Imagine that. Yes. Aoi's character was fabulous. He looked great. He also kind of had a Matoba look to him. It's like if Tanema and Matoba merged. That's basically Aoi in the looks department. But I wonder if Aoi was determining that Natsume could see him by planting the letter on the ground, and then Natsume picking up and handing it to him was like, oh, you can see yokai too. Okay, cool. And he probably thought that Natsume would pick up on it a little quicker, but he did hide his wings, so how was he to know? Up until he talked about going to the school, I was like, oh, okay. But then I was like, is he trying to reconnect with someone? I really thought the person he was going to try to reconnect with was going to end up being like what we've seen in the past, where they were like a lot older. Like, again, we talked about season 5, episode 2, the manga covering that episode and the introduction of this one. And in that one, the man had gotten a lot older. So I thought, okay, this is going to be a review of that. It is not. It is not. I think it's interesting that Madara calls him a crow, because we've seen crows throughout this series be signs of good fortune, but also kind of signs of sticking together. Like in the episode where Toko sees the two crows that are separated, one's alive and one's dead, but Natsume notices it too, but they're still together. I feel like that was kind of a signal that Aoi was going to be able to stay with Kaoru because of that nature to his character. Maybe not, but I feel like him being a crow is kind of like a good omen in this case, right? So he's like, yes. He's like, okay. He's like, I need you to come help me find this girl. I want to see the person the leather belongs to, but I don't know what school that they're at. So the episode's called A Day That Will Someday Come, which basically infers to there will come a day where Natsume and Nyanko Sensei are going to have to part ways. Either something happens to Nyanko Sensei, or what is more likely to happen is that Natsume will, get old and die, theoretically. And it's like, what do you do? Do you keep the relationship going, knowing that that day will come, or do you break it off because you don't want to feel that pain? And I liked that this episode was a positive way of looking at it, being like, you have these emotions, just have them. Like, because, it's better to have those emotions and savor these moments you have together, even though knowing one day you're going to be apart. When that day comes, deal with it then, but cross a bridge when you get to it. But until then, savor the time you have together, because, if you love each other, why would you want to waste that? So I also like the yokai calling Natsume a nice guy, and Natsume instantly is like, look, I have a lot of guys kind of hitting on me, so if you could let me know what your relationship to the letter owner is, so I know if I need to add you to the book of boyfriends or not, we need to settle this. And noticeably, whenever Natsume realizes that Aoi is not interested in him, he's like, okay, we're great. He's like, look, I got enough on my plate already. I got enough guys going after me. I really don't need to add another to the plate. Right? And the moment that Aoi said, I don't lie, I was kind of like, is he a yokai? Because that seems like such a very yokai thing to do. Now, Aoi is a name from Yona of the Dawn, which I also associated. Aoi also means blue, which kind of makes sense with his eyes being blue, right? So, yeah. And it also makes sense he's holding the blue sucker, which I love the little continuity of her giving him the sucker at the beginning when they were childhood friends. I was thinking how my childhood friend is really stubborn. The moment he said Aoi had a strange air, I was like, oh, well, he's clearly a yokai. And then Nishimura can't, see him. So that's the kind of nail in the coffin. But yeah, it's interesting. We've had episodes where the yokai have had crushes on humans, but the yokai always pull back and they kind of distance themselves because they know just the mortality of that relationship and how it's only going to last a certain amount of time and they won't be with them anymore. And Aoi clearly likes this girl, and this girl is down for this yokai. And girl, I don't blame you. Aoi's very attractive. I don't blame you. Would she have this same opinion of Aoi if he were just like a humanoid with a bird head? I don't know. I was thinking about that in the episode. I'm like, if he was just like had a giant bird head and stuck on his body, would she feel the same way? I don't know. They're young, but they've developed this relationship since she was a kid. So, it probably wouldn't have mattered. I'm being quite vain in the moment with that. I'm like, they probably still would love each other regardless, but it doesn't hurt that he's really hot and looks to be about her age. They've grown up together. But I do like that he brings up the idea that their timelines are going to delineate. Even though they've aged at similar paces, it's eventually where she's going to outpace him and age much faster than he will, and so on and so forth. And what's going to happen when that day comes. One thing I liked about this episode was that Nishimura just kind of like brushes off the fact that Natsume is like, what's wrong? Why are you yelling at nobody? And Natsume's like, never mind, don't worry about it. And then Natsume's like, when someone mistakes you for a human, tell them. And he's like, I just felt like you would have known already. So yeah. So Kaoru, Sonokawa Kaoru is the name, which is funny because Kaoru, I guess, is like could be either sex name. Interesting. So yeah, and then Madara shows up. I love Madara showing up and just immediately accepting this yokai because he comes from a place with good sake and he's like, I'm gonna get on your good side because that means we can go partying at your stomping grounds. Because he's training to be a protector of the forest, right? I also like the idea that Natsume's met someone else that can see yokai that is not exorcist related at all. She kind of looked like the granddaughter of Notori's mentor. So at first, when we saw her as a kid, I was like, haven't we seen her already in a previous episode? But no, that was Notori's mentor's daughter, and she cannot see yokai. So this girl's a little bit different. And her bangs are a little bit different too, once we actually got to see her face up close. I also like the idea that she can't see all yokai. Her powers are kind of limited. She just sees yokai that like match up with hers, that are on the same wavelength as hers. So again, I don't know if it's going to be like Notori's mentor, where as she gets older, will that change? I don't know. I don't know how that works. So it would be interesting to see, but we don't know. So I don't know. And then he's like, okay, he's questioning what he should do and about the letter. And he's like, it's not a letter, it's a thing of congratulations. It's actually a trap. So speaking of NATSUME, speaking of which, Madara pops out saying that they have a new pastry with white bean jam filling. I love that Aoi calls him a giant raccoon. He's like, who's this crow-looking boy? And my brothers say white raccoons are near the level of divine beings. Well, funny that. And Madara's like, I actually like this kid. He's complimenting me. He's like, okay, I've heard that Kago Madake has a delicious sake spring, so I'm going to get on your good side so you can come along. These birds, these damn bird yokai that are attacking them are literally like the Pidgeys in episode 1 of Pokemon. They just kept getting in the way, right? And talking about getting even for all the misery caused, and Natsume's like, what the fudge? What did I do now? And Madara's like, I ain't got time for this. I need to go get Crunk. Bye. And sends the birds away. Forest protectors probably have a lot of people hating them. And he's like, so that was the white raccoon's true form. He's like, let me thank you. And Natsume's like, quit complimenting him. Don't feed the bears. Don't feed the cats in this instance. So yes, I like that Natsume at this point is just like, I can't tell whether these are human or bird yokai or whatever. They take the form of humans. And he's like, I met Kaoru when I was young. And then we see, like, from his perspective, he, like, had talked about, you know, just meeting her and talking with her. He conveniently left out the whole wing situation, which she remembers. So it's interesting that we get two different memories from different perspectives. And so he's like, but then she started growing up. This is literally kind of similar to the plot of Hotarubi no Mori, which is an OVA I reacted to that was created by the mangaka of this series. I reacted to it last year or earlier in the year. So earlier in the year, rather, it was in January, I think, that I reacted to it. This year is flying by. But Hotarubi no Mori is written by the creator of Natsume's Book of Friends, and I reacted to that OVA. And the premise of it is similar to this episode, but I'm not going to spoil any more. You should go watch it. It's really good. But yeah, it is similar. And I feel like Natsume could relate to Kaoru a little bit because she's developed this relationship with this yokai, and she kind of like keeps getting close to the yokai, but everyone else thinks she's weird and she distances themselves. Which honestly, here's the thing. Kaoru thinks it would be better or Aoi thinks it would be better for Kaoru if he just left and she forgot about him and she just did her own thing. But here's the thing about that. Would she necessarily make friends any easier if he weren't around? Right? And this kind of goes back to what's being talked about in the manga for this episode, volume 14, is Natsume saying, if I didn't have the Book of Friends, would my life be easier? It doesn't distract from the fact that he can still see yokai, even if he doesn't have the Book of Friends. And just because she doesn't hang around Aoi doesn't mean there's not a possibility that she's going to see yokai on the same wavelength in the future. So it's one of those situations where, sure, theoretically distancing yourself from those yokai so that you can have human interactions is, you know, a strategy. But at the end of the day, is that going to mean she's going to have friends? Is that going to equate to her actually making friends? Is that going to like actually fall through and be anything? We don't know. We don't know as the audience. Like, you just don't know. So it's like, why would you waste a relationship? And when someone cares about you, why would you throw that away on the off chance that something might develop, but you don't know. So I think that that's an important lesson, that Natsume is like, there's more benefits to having the Book of Friends, to having these relationships, than there is not having them. So, and I think that's what he's kind of coming to terms with over the course of this series. He's like, she started to fall in love with me. And Natsume's like, ooh, he's like, I've seen yokai falling in love with humans, and I've had yokai talk about they not needing to fall in love with humans, but it's interesting to see it from the other side. I like Madara's not concerned. Madara's like, oh, so you ran away. Again, has Madara had experience in this? Has Madara been close to someone who's had experience with this? I don't know. Was Madara, hanging out alongside Reiko, or Reiko's, lover, and knows from firsthand experience about this? Who knows? The show won't tell us anymore. I'm embarrassed to say it, but we couldn't live together. At some point, our times would start to diverge. As long as she was in love with a yokai, she probably couldn't fall in love with a human, and that would be a waste. I mean, there is, the thing about humans is, as much as we like to romanticize, true love and soulmates and everything, the fact of the matter is, humans have enough love in their heart to extend to more than one people. And we try not to make it like that, because we like the idea of our one true soulmate and Pebble and the Penguin, and this is the one person I'm with for the rest of my life. But, I've been around enough people who have lost spouses, and enough people who have, been with more than one person. And sometimes your heart can have love for more than one person, and it's okay. So I like the message by the end of this episode that he's like, I want to stay with her, and we'll just see where it goes. And I'm like, just because she's in love with you doesn't mean she can't possibly have a relationship with a human one day. You never know, right? So, I mean, who knows? Humans are crazy sometimes. But yeah, and I think that Aoi, becoming a student and, trying to stay away from her, I think it was just trying to him having self-preservation. But was he really happy doing that? Was it just as a distraction? And was he really wanting to be back with her? He's like, did you forget about Kaoru, or were you just trying to say that you had forgot about her? Yeah, he'd put in a lot of effort in his training in order to forget her. And Madara's just looking like, So Madara opens up the envelope and says, congratulations. It's an invitation to a wedding, which made the timeline really questionable at that point. So I'm glad when Natsume's like, is this girl as young as we think she is, or is she older than we think she is? Well, it turns out she was lying and tricking him. I like his like training uniform and his little wings, and he goes back and sees that the mailbox of all the letters is full, and she put that pink one on top. He's like, I came for not for Kaoru, but for me. I want to say congratulations and forget about her. And Natsume's like, well, I'll help you, but not for you. I want to actually meet her. Because Natsume's like, I never get to meet anybody that could see yokai unless they're exorcists. So Nishimura, of all people, knows about this girl Kaoru. That's the only thing that made me wonder, like, is this anime original? Because Nishimura turning down the chance to see a lady? What is this world? But also, he's like, I've never talked to her. And he's like, is she getting married? And he's like, getting married? So my thing is, all this tells me is that Nishimura is not a homewrecker, which points for Nishimura. If Nishimura was like, she's getting married, aw man, guess I can't date her, and then just leaves her alone, good for you, Nishimura. Good for you. Good for you. Or maybe she's just not his type. But the fact that he just walked off, I'm like, crazy. So yeah, then she turns out to be a literal stage 5 clinger from Wedding Crashers. She is Isla Fisher's character, where she's like, I'll find you. If you've not seen Wedding Crashers, just go look up stage 5 clinger Wedding Crashers. That clip will tell you all you need to know. But she is not over Aoi, and in fact is wanting to be with him. And she's like, I really am just trying to trap him. The fact that Natsume's like, okay. I really was expecting Natsume to have like a bigger reaction to the fact that she's planning on trapping this yokai and telling her it's dangerous or whatnot. But I think that Natsume realized throughout talking with Aoi that Aoi loved her as well. The feeling was mutual. Even though she's saying things like, oh, I'm going to trap him, and like has the little sucker under the box and she's going to like pull the string and catch him. I think that Natsume's okay with it because he knows that Aoi is trying to hide it, but he loves her too. He wants her to trap him. They're kind of, they want to be with one another, but they just think they're star-crossed lovers and it's not going to work out. I also really liked how his voice changed throughout this flashback, where Aoi started out with a little kid voice and then became Daisuke Ono. Instantly. Now, the part that she remembers that he most certainly does not, or did not bring up, was the fact that when he landed on the ground, she like clawed at his wing, and that had a major impact on her. Like there was blood left on her hand, which is crazy. And she's like, I just wanted to be friends. And he's like, well, you could have just left me alone. And he's like, my wings were already hurt before you even did this. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, because he was going to fly away, supposedly. But he said it's not her fault. And so, yeah, then they got closer and closer together. But then he points out, he's like, it doesn't have to be me that you do all this stuff with. You have your own life to live. And she's like, well, do you not like me, Aoi? He says, she's like, I want to be with you forever. So she, like, loves him. But he thinks that eventually she's going to get too old and die, and he's going to be... It's really more about his self-preservation, because she doesn't care about the fact that he's a yokai. She doesn't care about the fact that they, you know, their bond is literally just, you know, platonic soulmates. You know, there's nothing sexual about it. Though there can't be, he's a spirit. But, you know, even if it was romantic, that's as far as it goes. She knows what this bond is, and he knows too, but it's him that's more worried, because he's afraid he's not going to be able to handle it when she dies. That's the part that's getting to him. So he's like, I need to forget about her, because it'll hurt me if something happens to her more than it's going to hurt her to leave me. And by the end of the episode, he kind of comes to terms with, it's better just to be with her, and I'll cross that bridge when we get there, right? Because she's so desperate to see him. And I feel like, I like Natsume saying, when Natsume goes and she's like, and if he still cares about me, then I won't let him go ever. I feel like Natsume kind of like envies her a little bit. Not envies isn't the right word, but I think he's kind of impressed by the fact that she can be so like passionate about her love for him, because Natsume, I don't think ever gets that passionate. So when he says here, he's like, Kaoru-san's amazing. Now, when Madara says she's a scary girl, I was like, he's called Reiko scary before. So did Reiko have that same passion towards the person that she loved and Madara saw it firsthand? I don't know. I'm going to keep with my Madara theories forever. And Natsume's like, I've seen lots of yokais drawn to humans, but they all left. Will Kaoru's plan work? And Madara's like, I don't know. We'll see. So Natsume ends up taking Aoi to see Kaoru, but before they do that, he burns the letters. And that scene was honestly really sad. Like when he uses the blue flame, which was really cool, to burn the letters. And she's like, are you running away? You dummy, contact me. I'll never forgive you. Come back soon. Do you hate me? Why won't you meet with me? All of those letters and the emotions attached to them were very much the emotions we would see from a yokai in series past being obsessed with a human. So it was so cool to see it from the shoe flipped, because it's often that like the exorcists are like, oh, yokai think this way and yokai are like this. And it's like, this is the example of humans being the exact same way. So it's kind of crazy, right? It's really impressive. But I felt so bad for Aoi, like, and I like that there's a blue flame. Aoi's blue flame. And it was just really sad when he's thinking and showing like her with the candy and them in the tree. And she's like, are you running away? Contact me already. And we see them so happy together. And then we just see him like watching all the letters burn up. She's like, I want to live my life with you. And he just looks so sad. Like that Aoi wants the same thing. He loves her too. Oh, that's just, oh. And Natsume, I think, understands exactly that. And that's why he's like, I'm sure it'll work out just fine, Kaoru. Like he knows in that moment, he's like, when you go to trap Aoi, Aoi's gonna be fine with it because he clearly is in love with you and torn up about all of this, burning these letters. So he knows it's gonna work out in the end. So yeah, the Natsume takes him by the chapel. They end up going and doing all that. These stupid birds come back and Madara and them chase them away. I love Natsume just punching bird yokai. just punching them. Just getting some good wallops in there. That was good. He's like, if you can't really forget her, then tell her. Okay. So then he goes to the chapel. I forgot for a second that this was a fake wedding. I forgot for a second it was a fake wedding, and all I was thinking about was that it was a trap. I was also having flashbacks, speaking of Pokemon, to, I've been talking about it in the Discord, but we were talking about like VHS and videotapes that we've had when we were kids. When I was a kid, my parents gave me a few Pokemon VHSs, like 4. And I watched them on repeat all the time whenever I couldn't see the serialized shows on TV because streaming wasn't a thing back in the day. And one of those VHSs had this one Pokemon episode. It's one of my favorites. It's so batshit crazy. But in it, Jesse and James go back to James's childhood home and he meets this girl, Jezebel. And I had the English dub at the time. So Jezebel had this very southern accent. And she basically was like betrothed to James. And it was this whole ordeal. But she was supposed to get married to him. And so when I saw the chapel, I was having flashbacks to that. You're not running properly. And like all this is amazing. Amazing. Go watch that. But yeah. Am I in the wrong spot? And then Kaoru shows up to pin him down. Like grabbing a bird. And he's like, what about your marriage? I love it. And I love that Kaoru, like, Aoi tries to get Kaoru off him, and she's like, I refuse to ever let you go again. Stop running and let's talk. Even if you're a yokai, I still want to be with you. Oh, I love it. I love that so much. And she's like, stay with me. And of course, Natsume is like, I want to see how this goes down. I want to see how this ends up. Oh. Mm-hmm. And all of this is like a veiled reference to back when Natsume was wondering if he should not be with Madara or if they should separate. Like, this all ties back to it. It's so wild. And he's like, there'll be even more tears later. Like, he's like, if you stay with me, eventually it's going to hurt even worse when we part ways. And she's like, that's not true. If that day comes, I'll drive them away. And he's like, you don't understand, Kaoru. He's like, you may be strong enough to not be sad. But he's like, that's the problem. He's like, that's why. Oh, I love it. I love that he's like, I'm the one that's going to be a mess when all this goes down. And Madara, I'm sure, can relate. Oh. Oh, it's such a good scene. And then the sunlight peeking out from the clouds. Cinematic. Cinematic. I do love this little end scene where Nyanko Sensei, his little ears twitching. He's so cat-like. He's just his ears twitching at the butterfly. It's super cute. He's like, it's fine. You can laugh at me if you want for thinking he's silly. Tell me I'm someone who can't stick to my decision. He's like, I hate to say it for your sake, but I'm happy. And then he says, this is from Kaoru. And he's like, it's a box of limited time only. Ohagi from NATSUME. What is ohagi? I want to know what ohagi is. Oh, they're like little cakes. They're glutinous rice and they have red bean paste. Oh, that's cute. Okay. It's like red bean with the rice inside. Interesting. Okay. Nyanko's happy with all of this. He's like, he's gotten the best deal. Once we start learning the taste of human food, we can be difficult. I see, that's like Nyanko Sensei and Aoi have something in common. He's like, we've got a taste of the human food. There's no going back. You've got a handful of trouble on your hands with Master Nyanko. And he's like, fool. You've still got the taste of a kid. I'm just entertaining myself and killing time. Sure you are, Nyanko Sensei. Sure you are. I'm sure. Oh, man, I really wish Allie would stick around. But he's going to say goodbye to the one brotherhood to stay with. with Kaoru. And I like that Madara, for once, again, feeding my theories, putting my tinfoil Pepe Sylvia hat on. Madara, who criticizes so much, criticizes many a decision by the yokai, being like, fool, why would you do that? That's a dumb idea. No. Whenever Aoi's like, I'm going to go stay with Kaoru, Madara just says, live the way you want. Sir, excuse me? Actual praise of that decision? Could it be because you're making similar decisions in your life, sir? Probably. Perhaps. And he says, once you've met that special person, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, is Natsume Madara's only special person? Was it also Reiko? Was it someone else? Tell us more, Midorikawa Sensei. I wonder when Aoi-san said there would be more tears later. Whose tears did he mean? We know as the audience. Will I too someday be able to care more about being with someone than the fear of saying goodbye to them? I think that's where Natsume is getting right now. And I think it's so great to point out in this season, not necessarily romantically or sexually, but I think for Natsume, the big thing is he's growing to where he cares more about being with the Fujiwaras. He cares more about being with Tanama and Taki and Nishimura and Kitamoto. He cares more about being with Madara than he does being worried about Matoba exposing them or him having to say goodbye. And that is like, that realization is something that like season 1 and 2 Natsume, maybe even season 3 Natsume, would not be thinking. So again, this series, building on the character development slowly and subtly but surely, it's just so good. So good. We get crow themes, we got hot guys, we've got like romance, existential questions, like the rule of 8 has not let us down. So yeah, what a crazy episode. I loved it. I'm so glad the rule of 8 has not let us down. This one was great. We got Daisuke Ono and Natsume. So good. I want to go back and re-listen to it, as you would expect. But I'm really excited to hear your thoughts down below about this episode. Should we be surprised the rule of 8 is so good? I don't know. But anyway, I'm super excited to see what we get next week. We've got next week is episode 9. And we'll also be looking at volume 15. And then we're going to round out season 6, if you can believe it, with episodes 10 and 11, and look at volume 16, which is the last volume that covers season 5 of the anime. So, and then I'll be asking the mods about season 6 and all that, which you've already seen episode 6, the chapter that it covers. But anyway, so I'm excited. I hope you all are as well. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week as we dive more into the manga and look at episode 9 of season 6 of Natsume's Book of Friends. Bye!